Everyone, welcome to my office, living room, great room renovation. I'm your host, Chris. What we have here is just kind of a standard, first floor. They call it a great room. I call it the room where grandma comes in and looks at photo albums. When we moved into our house a year ago, this room, which is right off of the main door and across from our dining room, kind of never really served much of a purpose. We had a couch and a table, and it was kind of like I said, just sort of the room you have guests in, but really no one ever goes in there. And with baby number one on the way, we decided to convert a bedroom that we had upstairs that we were using as our office, and decided to bring all that down into here. And probably could have just moved our desks down here and just kind of done it a little more simply than this. But one of the big problems with this room, as you'll be able to tell as I'm panning around the ceiling, is it had no ceiling lights whatsoever. Didn't even have a fan outlet. This is just one of those kind of rooms where you had a light switch that I removed from here that powered outlets. Like the top half of each and every one of these outlets was just powered from a switch, so you had to have lamps, and just didn't really think that worked for a office. So came in here, decided to mount 6 recessed lights, 3 on the back wall, 3 on the front wall. I might do another one kind of here where that piece of tape is, but still sort of undecided. So I'll just give you kind of a rundown of what I'm trying to accomplish here. So the very first thing you need to do when you're installing these recessed lights is you have to figure out where your joists are. If you've never done any kind of home renovation, this will probably be the most challenging portion, is figuring out where your joists are, and then figuring out how you could possibly run cable in between them. I had the benefit of working on an unfinished basement, just recently installed some lighting, power. I've been kind of finishing it. So I've gotten kind of a good look at how all this works when it's not all covered up with sheetrock and looking nice. Now, first thing I did is I used a stud finder, and I went and marked all the joists that go across the ceiling. They all go parallel in this direction. And once you figure it out, they're about 16 inches on center. It just kind of helps you determine where you're going to place these lights, because you have to cut 6 3/8 hole for your recessed lighting, which I'll show you down here what these look like. This is a recessed lighting can meant for renovations. If you had an exposed ceiling, they look kind of a little bit different. They're a little bit easier to mount since you don't have to worry about cutting a hole in your ceiling just yet. But that 6-inch diameter hole means if you've got 16 inches between your studs, you have a 6-inch hole you have to hit. You need to make pretty certain that you don't cut a hole in the wrong spot and have to make a really ugly patch to try to fix things up. So I found that marking all of the ceiling joists just kind of helped me figure out where I could and couldn't locate things, like this fan box here in the center. The true dead center of the room actually is right under that stud, and if I hadn't measured and just tried to cut a hole, well, I'd have been in for a rude awakening and a difficult thing to patch. So, I did a lot of this kind of on paper, just kind of your standard graph paper. Just kind of planning it all out, figuring out where I wanted the lights to go, where I wanted the fan to go, and slowly but surely a plan came together. Probably the most challenging thing, once you've exactly measured where each and every light's gonna go, I debated the best way to cut these light holes out. I actually bought, come on dogs. This is Cassie and this is Izzy. But I actually bought about $50 worth of tools to try cutting a hole saw. Milwaukee makes this pretty cool recessed, what does this say here? This is a recessed light hole saw, and you gotta buy the arbor that connects to it. And this right here was $50, and I bought it thinking, well, this will make short work of making holes, it'll make it nice and clean and easy. But at the same time, $50 to cut a hole is kind of a lot when you only have 6 holes. That kind of upped the price of the project quite a bit. So I actually found out that just using a simple keyhole saw, this is meant for cutting drywall. This one's a little bit thicker than most. Some of them have a little bit shorter, narrower tips at the front, and you kind of use that front portion and you cut around and you just go ahead and make a circle. It's actually not that hard. These can lights, I don't have them in here anymore, but they have a little template that's kind of stuffed inside of them. It's just kind of a thick cardboard just paper cutout of the exact dimensions. You just go ahead and tape it up to your ceiling, which I did yesterday, and mark your holes and go ahead and cut. There really wasn't a whole lot to it. Definitely recommend wearing safety glasses, because if you're like me, you'll get the dust and dirt in your eyes and then have to stop while you're standing on a ladder and you've got tools and things balanced in your hands and in your lap, and it just never works out that well. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause, and then I'm gonna come back and explain the rest.